Hello and welcome to the DBNC Doing Business in Nigeria Conference 2026. First of all, an apology that I can't be here in person. It's an extremely long story, so I won't bore you with it now, but I want you to know that I wish I could be there in person, but you're just going to have to deal with the virtual me for now. Because of circumstances slightly beyond my control. So I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about being inside the mind of market makers and to talk a little bit about how bold leaders are navigating Nigeria's economy. So I'll take you through a few slides and hopefully I'll leave you with something that you can take away. By way of introduction, my name is Kemi Adeosun, and I'm a chartered accountant, I'm an economist. I've served as Commissioner for Finance in Ogun State. I've served as Minister for Finance. I'm an investment banker, but more importantly for you, I'm an entrepreneur. I've always been a side hustler, an investor. So I've sat on both sides. I've sat on the side of policymakers and I've also sat on the side of entrepreneurs. So a lot of what I will talk about is from those two perspectives. It's from being a policymaker and also understanding business at a very granular level. And at some point, I might even mention our new project, Nidacity, which is a social enterprise that is supporting entrepreneurs. We're telling our own story so that we can teach entrepreneurship and make people that are in business better at it, make more profit. Anyway, let's go for it. So what's the scale of the Nigeria Prize? We're the largest economy in Africa. That's not been disputed. Our population is always disputed. Some say 200, some say 220, some say 250. I don't think the number matters per se. Just know that there's a lot of us. I mean, if you go out everywhere, we are plenty. We are a big market. And 70% of us are under the age of 30. And that's really important. And I'd like you to remember that as we talk through some of the opportunities and some of the way you should think about Nigeria's opportunities. The fact that you've got such a huge young demographic. It's an opportunity if managed carefully. It's a problem if not managed carefully. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go. So where do we stand today? We've been through some economic pressure. And that pressure is still on. There are reforms that have happened, Forex reforms, the removal of subsidy, revenue diversification push, the new tax laws. There's been a lot happening in the policy space. And I want to tell you something a little bit about policy, and it's important for you to understand this. Policy, there's always a lag. There are things that you do in your personal finances. The impact is instant. In policy, there's always a lag. There's a lag between when a policy is made and when the effects are felt. So a lot of what we're feeling now, that feeling that things are tight, feeling that things are not necessarily heading in the type of direction you want it heading, are actually quite natural feelings. And if you look at other countries that have gone through reforms, that has been a very similar story. So don't be too alarmed. When you go through a policy squeeze, you do have that tension. And it can feel very, very uncomfortable. But then there's good news at the other end, which is that if the policies work, and so far we believe that they're working from an economic perspective, then there'll be growth opportunities in the future. Now, one of the limitations to some of those growth opportunities is the stuff you all talk about. We have fairly weak industrial and manufacturing base. And there's an infrastructure deficit. I don't think anybody will deny that power is a major, major issue for every and any business person. But it's also a major opportunity. Those who can solve the power problem are going to make a lot of money in the next few years. I think for me, what's significant is that we're SME heavy. 80% of jobs in Nigeria are created by SMEs. They're only 45% of GDP, but they're 80% of jobs. That's really, really important to think about. That means that the majority of people that have a job today work for an SME. And so if you want the economy to grow your SMEs. It's just a very simple, linear relationship. Also, we live in the digital economy. Everybody can sell to Nigeria. Nigeria must also be able to sell to everybody. It's not really clever for us to get excited that you can order from Temu and it comes within X number of days. That's actually a disadvantage. We should also be looking for what are the things that we can send into other economies. It started, and interestingly, it started organically. So think about our music, think about our culture, think about our films. What's next? Our art. Where's the next bounce of the ball? That's really what I want you to think about as you think about doing business in Nigeria. Because the people that win don't wait for the ball to bounce, then run after it. They anticipate the next bounce of the ball and they're there waiting. And that's hopefully, and you being in this type of conference suggests that that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get enough information. You're trying to equip yourself and turn your thinking so that wherever that next bounce of the ball is, you are going to be absolutely prepared. And I'm not going to tell you where I think the next bounce of the ball is. And anybody that tries to tell you that you should go into this business or that business, you should run away from, because that it works for X does not mean it works for Y. What do you have within you? What can you do? What do you see? What are you good at? What do you do better than anybody else in the world? So stop all those, I sometimes see them on WhatsApp, 10 businesses you can start today. Please delete. Stay away from those generic, because if there are 10 businesses you can start today, trust me, everybody's starting them. And then you're competing with everybody. You don't want to compete with everybody. You want to be the best in what you do. Whatever you do, be the best. It's one of the things that we talk about extensively in Nidacity, working to your own strength. What do you do better than anybody else in the world? And we've seen people do it. We've seen it in music. We've seen it in art. We're seeing it in film. We're seeing it in business. People that just go, they take a particular thing and they just own it and they dominate their space and they're making money doing so. So how do bold leaders respond? Well, in the short term, you've got to survive. I mean, it's all well and good for me to say things are going to get better, but you just have to survive to make sure you get there. Survive and stabilize. What do you do in the meantime? Tighten your cost structures. Please eliminate waste relentlessly. You don't have time for bloated costs when things are tight. You've got to really, really be cost conscious. Leverage AI. AI is here to stay. With AI, you can do more with less. Use it. Don't run away from it. Don't fear it. Don't follow those emails that tell you that all the jobs are going to be eliminated by AI. There's also going to be jobs and opportunities created by AI. With AI now, a Nigerian can sit somewhere in Aja and be working for a company in America or working for a company in Germany. How do you leverage AI rather than run away from it? Explore Forex hedging, generate dollar-denominated revenues where you can. I think I've spoken to that, the fact that with the digital economy, you can sit somewhere. What are you, a video editor? Are you a photo editor? You can edit anybody's photos from anywhere in the world right now. That's the beauty of the digital space. And that's where our 70% who are under the age of 30 is a massive advantage. And then build coalitions, share infrastructure, share risk. This idea of I have to have my own may not necessarily work. Why can't 3 people share an office? Why can't 2 people share an office? Why can't 10 people share an office? Let's work to survive. Don't work. You're not there to prove anything to anybody. You're actually trying to survive, and keeping your eyes on the prize is important. Then in the long term, position and scale. I think export is a massive opportunity for Nigeria. We've devalued our currency. What does that mean? Because when they say, oh, dollar is high, let me just turn it the other way. It means that 4 or 5 years ago, let's say 4 years ago, $1 was $1 was 500 naira. Now today, that same $1 is 1,400 naira. What does that mean? It means that if you are selling in America, your product is now half the price that it was. So you should be exporting. You should be looking at what it is you can do, sell, provide that earns dollars, because you are now cheaper than everybody else. So that's the other side of, oh, dollar is expensive. Also gives you what we call an export advantage. It means that dress that you were previously selling maybe at $100, is now actually $50. Supposing you don't even pass on all the saving, you say, okay, I'll give it to you for 70. Or supposing you're extremely clever, you do great branding and you keep it at $100. It means you are earning more Naira for your exports than you were before. So remember that every coin has two sides. There's a flip to everything. So don't focus on, oh, dollar is expensive. Think about, what can I do? What can I export? There are people making money exporting things from Nigeria, but do it properly. Don't jump into it. Don't cut corners. Do it properly. Research what you're doing. Do it properly. And then the market is out there. Okay, then invest in talent and systems. And I really agree with that. There's a shortage of good staff. You need systems, you need talent, and you need to respect talent. I'm a great believer in respecting talent. If you want the best people, you've got to treat them properly. If you want the best people, you may have to allow them to run their business on the side. You may have to pretend not to notice, or you may, like we do in Nidacity, actually encourage it and say, go ahead and run a business, but make sure you do your work for us as well. And balance the two, because good people are hard to find. Respect them, treat them well. Think about the cost of retraining or replacing them before you sack them, even when they annoy you. But yeah, that's something else for another day. And then build for African market, not just Nigeria. That's really, really important. So what's going to drive this next wave of growth? I've talked about productivity. I've talked about talent. I've talked about export, and I've talked about resilient capital. That's the last thing. You need to access patient capital. Interest rates are quite high, so you need to access patient capital. What does that mean? It means that maybe if before you would have started your business on your own and maybe taken a loan, you might have to bring in partners. What does that mean? That means sharing. That means accepting that the fact that this person came in from the beginning, this person is a part of this business, not, oh, I had no choice, then I just gave you, and then as soon as you start making money, you're trying to drive the person out. That's not patient capital. That's greed. And long run, it won't work. So be patient in your capital. Don't be greedy. 70% of something great is better than 100% of something that is really not much of anything. So think around that. Now, what is Nigeria's real growth engine? As I said, it's the SME opportunity. 96% of business is SME, 48% of GDP, 80 million jobs. And this is a huge opportunity. It's a massive market, but it's very fragmented. There are low operational systems, and there's lots of execution gaps. People are starting up businesses, but they're failing. So why are they failing? Where are the opportunities? It's one of the things we're trying to do in Nidacity. We're trying to learn what's the difference between someone who starts and succeeds and starts and fails. What can we learn from each other? Let's create this ecosystem, which is what we try to do here, of entrepreneurs, but learning entrepreneurs. Every single day, you've got to be learning something. You've got to be learning. If you're not learning anything, if you're so overwhelmed in your business that you can't find 10 minutes to feed your brain, you may not be in business for very long. So we talk about 10 minutes a day to feed your brain. Okay, so who's going to win? The fastest to adapt will win. There's a big opportunity, of course, in retail. 200 million people means 200 million people are buying things. And that young demographic, I want you to think about what that means. Those young people, that 70% that are under the age of 30, a lot of them are still going to buy their first phone. They're going to buy, some of them, their first wig. Some of them are going to buy their first mattress. Who's going to be ready and providing innovative, cost-effective solutions to their needs? Because those are the people that are going to win. Why are, for example, Moneypoint growing faster in terms of acquisition of customers than some of the banks? Because they just made it easy. They made it so much simpler to open the account. And so if you can simplify, if you can make it easy, if you can lower barriers to entry, if you can show people what they need to do, you will be one of the winners in the new Nigeria. Okay, so I'm going to talk, I think I've mentioned it, but I'll just mention it again. I'm talking about Nidacity, which is what we're doing. We're talking about this problem of people starting business and in 5 years' time, they're not there anymore. It's something we want to fix. Shameless plug, nidacity.com. So as we finish, I will tell you that the next era belongs to those who choose to build anyway. Start building now, build properly, build strong, and build long and keep doing what you're doing. The DBNC thing is great. Community is also a strategy. Learning from each other, listening, being part of this big growth picture called Nigeria. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to wish you well. I'm going to thank you, and I'm going to wish you an incredibly good DBNC conference 2026. Thank you.